I am super excited about a new cheap Audio Man product. And this isn't a product that really kind of makes sense for a lot of people. It's probably not what most people have guessed. It's not an amplifier. It's not a DAC. It's not a turntable. It's not a pair of speakers. It's something else. I wanted this to be unique. I didn't want to just slap my logo on a pair of RCA cables. Just kidding, I've already done that. I wanted something cool that I would be excited about having, and I wanted it to be limited. Most of that probably has more to do with the fact that I didn't think I could sell that many. Anyway, some of you may love it, some of you may hate it, but sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about the new cheap Audio Man product. Before we go any further into the video, I'm just going to tell you what it is, because for many of you, you're not going to care. But if you listen to the story, the thought that went into this product, you may care. It's a watch, and it's kind of a gimmicky watch, but it's not a gimmicky watch. It comes in at $330. So I get it. If you want to check out, go ahead and click off this video. However, if you want something that's super cool, in my opinion, and it could fundamentally last you for the rest of your life, and if properly maintained, be passed down to your children, then maybe keep watching. Obviously, I love hi-fi, and that's what I wanted to make this watch. And we're going to get closer into it, but the dial is meant to look like a vinyl record, and the seconds hand is meant to look like a tone arm with a cartridge and a counterweight and everything. Some of you may know that I'm really into watches. I love watches. I've loved watches from when I was a kid. My obsession with hi-fi preceded my obsession with watches, but not by much. I was a child of the 80s and Swatch came out and people would wear like 6 or 12 of them on their wrist. It was a cool time. Everybody wore a watch. We didn't have cell phones to tell the time, so everybody wore watches. And I know most of you watching my channel are my age, a little bit younger, but mostly older, and you don't want to be late to that proctology exam. So purchasing a high-quality automatic watch that requires no battery may come in handy if your cell phone fails you, so that you're not late for your AARP convention or water aerobics. I'm kidding. Listen, I'm pushing 50, so I get it. Let's take a closer look at the Rocktopus. That's what the watch name is. I came up with this idea, my glasses are dirty. I came up with this idea, I don't know, maybe about a year ago. And this is a collaboration with Mark at Long Island Watch. If you're into watches at all, you probably know Mark. He has a YouTube channel called, I think, Long Island Watch. Anyway, he also sells watches, and he has his own brand of watches called Islander. So I reached out to him with this idea, and he actually liked it. Because I've seen a lot of watches that have textures most of the time on the sub-dial. So we're talking about chronographs or something like that with a little dial within a regular dial. And I saw that some of them were circular. And I said, Randy, wouldn't it be cool if the whole dial was just that? Because that would look exactly like a vinyl record. We went back and forth for the better part of a year, finalizing like the design, and everything about this watch was thoughtfully considered. But let's take a closer look at that dial. In the center, you have what is supposed to look like, and I think it does look like, a record label. At the top, it says 180 grams for 180 gram record. Ironically, or coincidentally, this watch weighs 176 grams. So you could round that up. The watch actually weighs 180 grams. At the top of the dial, there is the Islander logo. My logo is at the bottom of the dial, and what I wanted to do with the logos was make them as subdued as possible so we don't take away from the wonderment that is the little vinyl record on our wrist. My logo is actually surrounded with a little bit of a red stroke, and it's not nearly as noticeable as my B-roll is because, well, that's a macro lens. So most of the time when you look down at this thing, it's just gonna look like a vinyl record with a couple of sticks on it. And then at the bottom of the dial is my little credo. Binge listen and fill your soul with happiness. Again, ghosted in, so it's not in your face, but it's down there. You know that it's there. And if anything, you can wear this watch as a reminder to spend more time listening to your music. I was talking about it on a live stream today, just how important music is and just how quickly music can change our moods, especially if we're anxious or upset about something. Unless you're upset about something and then you put on like the Heretic Anthem by Slipknot. That may exacerbate your frustration. And if you just got dumped by a special someone, maybe don't listen to depressing music. But most of the time, for most of us, in most situations, if we put on a little music that we enjoy, it makes us feel better. It's filling our soul with happiness. It's turning the frown upside down. Music. Listen to it. Around the periphery of the dial is what's called a rehoit, or a chapter ring. There is individual minute markers surrounding the rehoit or chapter ring. Because this watch is not super contrasty, so telling the actual time, if you want to get super precise with it, that's what the minute markers are for on the rehoit, so that you can look at them. Because the bezel is also kind of ghosted in, and there's no numerals on the dial. It's all record. At the bottom of the record label, it says automatic 200/660 feet. For those of you not in the watch know, automatic means there's no battery. It's hand wound, but more importantly, just moving your arm around is going to wind the main spring. So if you wear this all of the time, you never need to wind it. Automatic watches have been around for a long, long time. They're not nearly as accurate as quartz watches or a Casio, but their octopus will be accurate probably within about plus 15 or minus 15 seconds a day. And this movement can be regulated if you so choose. The hands were purposefully made super skinny and super small. And once an hour, the minute hand covers up the hour hand. Now, I don't want to get into a bunch of detail about my personal life. I did that on my Patreon. So if you want to see that full video, I made about a 20-minute video that was kind of heartfelt, kind of a heart-to-heart to my patrons. And I went into a little bit more detail about why I did what I did on this watch. But the minute hand will cover up the hour hand once an hour, and then it uncovers it slowly. And I like to start over my day. Well, everybody starts their day over in the morning, but I kind of like to start over each hour. So if I get upset about something or something isn't going my way, I know when I look down at this and the minute hand is covering the hour hand, kind of like a beginning. Like every hour has a new beginning, and I have the ability to reset my mood every hour. So this is kind of like a reminder that if we're having a bad day, we can always not have a bad day. We can reset. Those hands are off-white and loomed, which means in the dark they will glow, as does the record label glows, as does the end of the seconds hand, which is the real star of the show, because it's a tone arm. And if you look really closely at the end of the seconds hand, it's a removable head shell with a blue cartridge on it. And the counterweight of the seconds hand looks like an actual counterweight of a tone arm. And then it moves around like a record spinning, except the record's not spinning, but the minute hand is. This comes with a Seiko automatic movement. It's a no date movement. So to set this, you have to, 660 or 200 meters of water resistance. You can take this thing diving in the pool. 200 meters. Well, the pools aren't 200 meters, but when you screw down the crown, it's watertight. So you can legit go scuba diving with this watch if you want to. That's the cool thing about this watch. I wanted to make it as tough as possible. You can wear it in any situation if you'd like. Let's talk about the bezel. Another Easter egg about this watch is the bezel. Most watch bezels have numerals or numbers, well, more than just two places. I chose to put only two numbers on here. One is at 33 and one is at 45. If you know anything about vinyl records, well, that makes a lot of sense, 33 and 45. However, I did want this watch to be usable, so you can use this unidirectional bezel to time things. You can actually use it to dive if you want, because technically speaking, for a dive watch you need a loomed pip, and at the 12 o'clock position, when the bezel is set, this thing glows in the dark. So what you can do, you want to time yourself, you want to time some spaghetti cooking, you want to time how long the kids are in timeout, you just rotate that pip around to where the minute hand is, and there's individual minute markers all the way out to 15 minutes. And then there's 5-minute markers after that. The bezel insert is a brushed ceramic insert. Again, that stealthy vibe. I wanted everything about this watch to kind of pull your eyes into the center so you can see that mini vinyl record. Let's talk about the bracelet and the case. The bracelet, 100% brushed stainless steel. It comes with solid end links, and this is a negative end link here, which means even if you have a small wrist, it's going to fit pretty much everybody. Not one bit of high polish on this bracelet, because I want it to be the cheap Audio Man watch. We're not flashy over here. We pack a lunch. We're subdued. We go to work. The case is also brushed throughout, so there's no high polish bits on the case. This watch is based on a Seiko SKX 007 model, which is a much celebrated watch, but Seiko doesn't make it anymore. At least they don't make it in the form that they used to make it. So it does have a screw down crown and a screw down case back, which enables it to be watertight. The case back also has the Rocktopus on there. And the Rocktopus is limited to 100 units, and many of those units have already sold because I released this to my Patreon community first. So if you want this watch, you probably should buy this watch, because this is the only watch the cheap Audio Man is ever going to make. It has a fold over clasp, and there are 3 points of micro adjustment so you can get the perfect fit. This also comes in with screw in links. And if you know anything about watches, if you have screw in links, it's much easier to resize the bracelet to get a perfect fit. $330 may seem like a lot if you're not into watches, but if you know anything about automatic watches, $330 isn't that much. It's less than an automatic Seiko right now that doesn't have 200 meters of water resistance. There's a whole community out there that mods watches. This watch is compatible with all SKX 007 parts. It's a 42 millimeter watch, which kind of seems like it's big, but it has a short lug to lug, which means just about anybody can wear this. This is what it looks like on my 7¼ inch wrist. The bracelet is what's kind of considered an oyster style, which looks similar to a lot of Rolexes. A lot of watches out there use the same style, but I wanted it to be traditional, subdued, not flashy. I think the coolest thing about this watch is how deep the dial is set in. I wanted this watch just to kind of pull you into the dial, and I think it's done that. I'm really happy with it, very happy. I was actually kind of shocked at just how great it turned out. And then on the back of the bracelet, you have the Islander logo and the cheap Audio Man logo. Another cool touch is the crown. The crown is what you use to set the watch. The crown is a volume knob. That's right. It's knurled all the way around, and it even has a volume indicator on the side. That same knurling is carried forth through the bezel, which is also kind of like a volume knob or selector knob, whatever you like, some type of knob. This could be a flop. Maybe everyone will sell out, but over 20% of these watches have sold out. They're also individually serialized, which means I have 00. Somebody is going to have 33. Somebody is going to have 100. No two watches are exactly the same. If you're a big fan of the channel, maybe you want to get one. If you like vinyl, maybe you want to get one. If you like a very unique watch that there's not going to be anything like it out there, maybe you want to get one. But this watch also signifies kind of my life's journey, that I'm right here. And I'm a nut about time. I don't like to waste time. I like to be on time to things. And I know that life is finite. I don't have all of the time in the world. That's why, part of the reason why I love watches. And I wanted something that would combine my love of hi-fi, my love of watches, and be gimmicky, but also classy gimmicky. This is classic gimmick right here. Now, I wanted it to be thoughtful. I wanted everything to be considered on this watch. And I wanted it to be something that wasn't super obnoxious, something kind of stealthy. So if you want to support the channel, buy one of these watches. I'm not stocking these watches, so they will be shipped, sold by Long Island Watch. You will pay Long Island Watch. I do get a license fee for each watch that is sold, but it's not a ton of money. So don't wait. Run out and buy your new Rocktopus watch. Binge listen and fill your soul with happiness. And if you forget that, it's written on the watch right there. Thank you so much for making my dreams come true. Everybody that watches this channel, even if you don't like me, I still appreciate you watching. Like and subscribe if you'd like to. Thank you.